you for being here today. Today is September 11th. It's with great privilege and pleasure that I sit here before you all today. I now call this meeting to order. We'll start with invocation by Miss Diana and the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Chris.
Bow our heads and ask for God's blessing. Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. We offer our prayers this morning, Father, for all those who on September 11th gave their ultimate sacrifice. We ask that you keep them in your prayers, our country in our prayers, Lord. We gather here today intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and by wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and well in all the matters before us. In your name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go on to agenda item number 2, citizen comments and public announcements. And I don't have any citizen comments, so we'll move on to public announcements. Ms. Moran, you have anything?
No,
Mr. Chris?
No, I just, real quick, again, to reiterate what Diana said about September 11. If you get a chance, just take a moment today to remember those. Thank the ones that we have here locally because though they didn't deal with the situation, they help us out every day. And let's also keep in mind not only Harvey now, but the those who are suffering from Irma as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Ms. Garza?
no.
Okay. Ms. Carrasco, have anything to say? Okay. And again, to reiterate everything Mr. Crisp said, that's exactly on. September 11th is very near and dear to me, and I apologize for that. But may we remember our own first responders that do this every single day and go out and they don't just do it one day out of the year, they do it every single day. So always give thanks. Give thanks for being American, give thanks for being free, and give thanks for all those who go out every day and do this for us. Agenda item number 3, consider and act upon award of contract for A, RFP number EBP 2018-001, Group Health Plan Self-Insured, Stop Loss. 3B, RFP number EBP 2018-002, Group Health Plan, Fully Insured Group Dental, Fully Insured Voluntary Vision, Group Term Life, and Supplemental Voluntary Life Insurance Plans. And C, RFP number 2018-003, Insurance Benefit Consultant, and if necessary, consider and act upon appointment of a service representative for employee group health, dental, life, and vision insurance.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. The packet that I just handed out to you all is going to deal with item 3B. If you don't mind, Mayor, I'd like to start with the dental, life, and vision first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Give me a second. My notes are on the printer. My notes are on the printer. We'll go grab them, please. All right, I apologize. I need my notes from the printer. Okay, Pat's grabbing my notes from the printer so that I can give you all details on the timelines. We started the process of the bid process for dental, life, and vision in August, and we sent out approximately 48 notifications to those individuals that in the past have submitted bids to the City of Alice. From those, we went through the process of giving them an opportunity to answer or ask questions. We had a pre-proposal conference, and at that pre-proposal conference, it was determined to extend the deadline for the RFPs by 5 days. That 5-day process was up, and it was right in the middle when the hurricane hit. So a lot of our bidders live in the Houston and San Antonio areas, and their bids had gotten into the mail on time, but unfortunately the packages were delayed by FedEx and UPS and carriers. We had them submit their tracking slips showing proof that they had mailed them on time, and we gave them an opportunity to submit their bids electronically. We've received all of them, and we opened them up in that process. The first page that you have in front of you is going to be for group term life and accidental death and dismemberment. The City of Alice offers to employees a benefit of 1.5 times their annual salary. The proposals that we received back was only the renewal from Dearborn Life. There is no change to the rate at all. It is remaining the same. So no cost increase to the city. And the benefits remain the same at 1.5 times their annual salary. The supplemental portions of group term life include a rider for dependents that employees can purchase at their own cost. It is a $5,000 rider at $1.22 per month. It covers spouse and children. On the bottom of your sheet, you will notice the voluntary supplemental life. These are supplemental products that employees can purchase. They are age-based. They range from $10,000 to $500,000 in increments of $10,000. There is a guaranteed issue of $100,000, and depending on the age, there is a rate per 1,000. There is also the addition of a $5,000 policy for dependent children and a $10,000 policy for dependent children at $1.15 per month for the $5,000 and $2.30 for the $10,000 policy. No change to the benefits, no changes to the rates, and the carrier we are recommending is the renewal carrier with Dearborn National. Do you all have any questions on the life?
Council, any questions, Ms. Moran?
Earlier, you said you sent out 48 notification packets. How many did we get?
We received back 1 on the life, only for Dearborn National.
Dearborn?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, Ms. Moran?
No.
No. Mr. Chris? No. Ms. Garza?
Diana, who do we have the insurance with now?
For the for the life right now, Mrs. Garza, it's Dearborn National, and it's actually the renewal that you're looking at, so it would remain with the same carrier. We have separate carriers for each line of coverage.
Okay.
How has the coverage been? With the employees, have employees had any problems with?
On the life? No, ma'am.
Any concerns or anything?
On the life, no, ma'am. We've used Dearborn National in the past. They were a carrier for 5 years, and I can't remember the dates in between, but I want to say maybe 08 to 14. Last year, when the bid process went out, they were the most competitive bid, and we switched back to Dearborn National. We're very fortunate we haven't had to submit any claims on this particular line of coverage.
But communication-wise with the employees, ask when they have questions?
Those questions would be directed at HR, and we haven't had, to my knowledge, any questions on the life. At the beginning of the implementation, because the supplemental products were new, there were a lot of questions. It's a very healthy benefit that doesn't cost the city any, but it does provide additional coverage for the employee and their family. And the guaranteed issuance of a $100,000 policy with no questions asked was something that went over very well with employees.
Okay. Ms. Carrasco, any questions? Council, if there's no further questions on life?
Mayor, so it doesn't get too confusing, would the council have any issue with perhaps awarding as we go through each product? That way we're not having to remember what we discussed and make one giant motion.
Sure. That sounds good. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion that we allow the city manager to enter into contract with Dearborn National on the renewal basis presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no opposed? Any opposed? No? Okay, the ayes have it. The motion stands as read, as stated.
Thank you. If you'll flip your page, the next page that you're going to see is the dental cost analysis. Dental is an employer-sponsored plan, and it is fully insured, meaning that the City of Alice covers the premium for our employees. You're going to notice the first column is current, and our current carrier is Humana. To the left, you're going to see the 4 tiers of coverage that we offer: single, employee and spouse, employee and children or children, child or children, and family. The counts are the number of individuals under those particular tiers as of the census that was sent out at the end of June of 2017. The monthly rate is what we are currently paying. For the City of Alice, currently under Humana, the city covers $15.71 for an employer. We subtract that out from the remaining rates, and any difference in the cost for dependents is 100% the responsibility of the employee. The estimated annual premium based on those tier counts is $73,097. The plan that we have is a very traditional plan. It breaks everything up into basically 3 major service tiers, the first being diagnostic and preventative. These are your annual cleanings twice a year, x-rays, bite wings, things of that nature. That is covered at 100%, and there is no copayment for those types of services. Under regular services is where you have your fillings, your crowns, your extractions, impacted teeth, things of that nature. The co-insurance for that is 20% the responsibility of the employee, and 80% is covered by the plan. And then major services, which are going to be crowns, inlays, bridges, dentures, things of that nature, are covered at 50%. And we do offer an orthotics benefit. It's a $1,000 lifetime maximum. It covers children up to the age of 18. And after that $1,000 is used up, excuse me, there is a 50% co-insurance. The plan we currently have with Humana does not have an agent, and it is net of commissions. Again, we sent out the proposals, and we received back only one interested party, which was Humana. You're going to see option 1 and option 2. The coverages are identical to what we currently have. The difference in the rates is the renewal is no change to rates. The rates would remain the same. Option 2 has commission built in to the monthly premium, and that would be the difference between the rates. So the difference between $76,221 and $73,097 is what would be paid out to an agent should the council determine that they wish to name an agent. At this time, I'd like to remind the council that we did go out for consultants. That was one of the bids that we went to, and the consultant proposals that we'll get to in a little bit would not have any commissions added to them. You would be paying a rate to the consultant or broker on a flat fee basis to cover all the services and additional benefits to the City of Alice. Staff is recommending option 1, the renewal with Humana. This would be no increase to the city, no change in benefits, and no increase to the current premium that dependents are having to incur. And I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Council, Ms. Carrasco, any questions?
Diana, on option 2, you say with commissions, what benefit do we have by having an agent versus going with option 1?
The first benefit would be, of course, you have a lower rate because there's no commission built into the rate. The option of having an agent would be you have someone to service your account. Last year, the council determined that they did not want to add agents to any line of service, so all the servicing on the 4 lines of coverage was being done by HR. When I came to the council in August, it was one of the reasons why I was seeking a RFP for a broker consultant. And the reason I'm recommending option 1 over option 2 is if you start to add your commissions to each line of coverage, you're actually going to wind up paying more in commissions than the bids we have received for brokers.
Any other questions, Ms. Carrasco? No? Ms. Garza? No. Mr. Crisp?
Is this a optional, employee optional, or are they mandatory that they have to?
They do not have to take it. It is something that the city does offer at zero cost to them.
Okay. Is it?
Okay. Ms. Moran?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, so at this time, we'll entertain a motion on dental cost.
Mayor, I make a motion that on the dental insurance, we go with option 1 as presented by this staff.
I second that.
Okay. Can I, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and no opposed? Okay, the motion stands as stated.
The next product that we'll be looking at is Vision. Vision is completely voluntary to employees, meaning the City of Alice does not pay for this. It is a plan that was added back in, I want to say 2006 or 7. We have a good participation on it. The current carrier is IMED, and currently an employee is paying $6.08 per month for single coverage, $11.54 for an employee and 1 dependent, so it could be a spouse or a child, and $16.95 for family. Unlike the dental that has 4 tiers, this particular coverage has 3 tiers of coverage. We received back the renewal from IMED, which is no change. We received 2 options from Humana and 1 for Dearborn, which is your option 3. If you look very carefully, one of the first factors for anyone shopping for insurance is, of course, going to be cost. The current rate of $608 versus option 1 Humana voluntary at $499 would give our employees a decrease in their premium. If you look at the benefits themselves, you will notice that right now there is a $10 copay for lenses on IMED, and that copay would be raising to $15 on Humana. Contact lenses, currently there's a $120 allowance. Under Humana option 1, that would be a $130 allowance, so $10 more per year. On frames, there is currently a $120 allowance. On Humana, it would be a $130 allowance. And on fitting, that is a fitting for contact lenses. Currently, there is no benefit for that, so employees pay for that fitting out of pocket. Under option 1, Humana, they would cover up to $55. So while you are seeing a little bit of an increase on that one copayment based on the additional benefits that the employee would be receiving, and more importantly, because of the reduction in cost, the city is recommending option 1 Humana voluntary. The difference between option 1 Humana and option 2 Humana is actually the same. A commission is built into option 2. And then option 3 came from Dearborn for IMED, and benefits are exactly the same as what we have now. However, there is a increase in the premium from $608 to $8.38. For those reasons, staff is recommending council consider option 1 Humana as voluntary vision insurance.
Okay, council, Ms. Moran, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Crisp?
This premium is paid by the employees or paid by the?
By the employees, 100% by the employees.
Any other questions? No. Ms. Garza, any questions? Ms. Carrasco, any questions? No. I don't have any questions, so I'll entertain a motion on vision at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion that we authorize city manager to enter into and award a contract for voluntary vision for option 1 with Humana.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no opposed, so the motion stands as stated. Thank you.
The last page is going to show, just for council's benefit, and you'll look at the dental, the vision, and the life. You'll notice that for dental, there are no increases across the board to either the employer or the employee. On vision, employees will see a reduction ranging from $1.09 per month to $2.53, and no change to the life. And that concludes 3B. And if you all don't mind, I'm going to go to 3A now, which is going to be the stop loss.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So one of the proposals we went out for is stop loss. And stop loss insurance is essentially protection that the city takes out to cover our risk when it comes to our medical insurance. Okay? The city is currently utilizing Healthcare Highways as our third-party administrator, and they will be continuing as our third-party administrator. There are two types of stop-loss insurance that we looked for. The first is a specific premium, and a specific premium is for each individual employee. The city will incur risks to a certain dollar amount, and anything in excess of that dollar amount is when your stop-loss kicks in, and they reimburse the city for any claims, medical and prescription, over that threshold. Right now, the city has a $75,000 specific stop-loss deductible for each individual employee. In our RFP, we asked for them to please provide a $75,000 specific deductible and a $100,000 specific deductible. The second component of stop-loss insurance is aggregate stop-loss insurance. And what aggregate stop-loss insurance does, instead of having each individual person, it looks at your group as a whole in the same manner, and it gives you a threshold for the entire group as a whole and determines anything in excess of that dollar amount, the city would be reimbursed. We received back 12 options. You are looking at 6 of them in front of you. The other 6 options contained commissions in them, and the commissions on those products ranged anywhere from $61,928 to $71,209. So this is going back again to the premise that a broker is less expensive than paying commissions on a line of coverage. It's a very, very large sheet, so bear with me, and if I lose you all along the way, please stop and ask questions. The first column where it has current. This is our current coverage. The company and the underwriter who we use is True Services. The underwriter is American Fidelity Assurance Company. And as you move across to the right, you're going to notice the companies that submitted and the underwriters for each line of coverage. Your first blue line, and you'll notice that that amount goes across for all 6 options, $79,941.84. That is what the city pays annually in fixed costs to Healthcare Highways. It equates to approximately $6,661.82 a month, and it covers all of our fees for medical administration, RX administration, COBRA, utilization review, the access fees for the network, disease management, etc. The next little section that you're going to look at is going to focus on the quotes and the stop loss themselves. The first line, do you guys have rulers before I even start? Okay. First line is going to be the deductible that we're looking at. We currently have a $75,000 deductible. And as you move down your column, you're going to notice that the lifetime maximum is unlimited. What that means is that for any claimant, any member of the City of Alice who incurs claims, there is no limit on the amount of claim that they can incur for that particular year. The contract type that we're looking at is a 12-15 contract, which means that for 12 months, we have claims that are coming in, and the 15-month is the lag, meaning that for 3 additional months, any claims that are incurred and come into the stop-loss carrier, they will honor. The coverages for stop-loss include all medical claims and prescription claims. And you are going to see next your specific premiums. For an employee, currently we have 168 at $97.15. We have 7 who carry an employee and a spouse at $187.55, 34 who carry children at $166.68, and 5 that carry families at $278.68, for a total of approximately 214 individuals. When you multiply those out across the way, your monthly specific premium is $24,695 and annually $296,335. And I'm going to continue to get current, and then we'll go across to the options that came in. The aggregate rate that we pay is the amount of money we pay per employee per month to cover our group as a whole when it comes to stop loss. That amount for the group right now is 1.5 or 1,543,765, and you'll notice that as you move down on your left, you will see a letter B, and you'll see 1,543,765. So for $3.50 per employee per month, what we are doing is taking out additional stop-loss insurance. First, anything over the $75,000 individually will be reimbursed, but if the group as a whole, all their claims combined as a whole, go over that $1.5 million, then the aggregate insurance kicks in and we will see reimbursements in anything in excess of that threshold. The annual aggregate premium that we're paying right now is $8,988. And when you add your specific stop loss, your aggregate stop loss, and your fixed costs, the city is currently expensing $385,265 a year. Under C at the very bottom, you're going to see expected claims. And expected claims come from your underwriters who look at your history. They look at the history of the group and the history for the last couple of years, and they have an actuary who determines what expected claims are supposed to be for the year. For this fiscal year, expected claims were expected to be $1,235,012. And then you're going to notice 2 rows that are highlighted in tan, or at least it looks tan to me. I'm not sure what it looks like to you all. The first is your annual maximum cost. An annual maximum cost is, worst case scenario, you hit your aggregate deductible for the entire group of $1,543,765 plus your fixed cost, giving you a total of $1,929,030. The next are your expected costs, which are your claims plus your fixed cost at $1.6 million approximately. Those 2 rows are your minimum and your maximum, and your fixed cost, your row in yellow, are your hard dollars, meaning that that is what we know as a whole the city will absolutely expense. Okay, now we're going to start to move across your sheet, and you're going to notice options 1 and 2 in one color, 3 and 4 in another color, and 5 and 6 in another color. The reason for that is because it's the same company submitting, the same underwriter submitting, but the difference is going to be in the specific deductible because we asked for a $75,000 and a $100,000 deductible. Option 1 and 2 come from Summit Re, and the underwriter is Companion Life Insurance Company. Your total fixed costs are not going to change because based on your enrollment, those costs are not going to change and they remain constant. The first column on the left is going to show a $75,000 deductible, which is what we currently have, and it's going to have the specific premiums right underneath it at $100.98 for employee, ranging to $302.13 for family. That premium on that $75,000 specific is $311,236 for the year. The aggregate rate that they are recommending for this, or they are proposing for the City of Alice, is $4.05 for an additional $10,000 and $10,400 for the year, bringing, for this particular plan, your annual fixed costs to a total of $401,579. And that's the line that's highlighted in yellow. That is an increase from our current carrier of $16,314. And then we'll stop right there. We'll move over now to option 2, which raises your specific stop-loss deductible to $100,000, which means that now, instead of the city being reimbursed for anything over $75,000, the threshold for the city would be $100,000. The reason that I wanted to ask for these two different types of deductibles is because as long as we have been self-funded, we have been able to adequately reserve enough in our reserve account to be able to look at reducing costs. And one way to do that is to look at an increase on your specific stop-loss deductible. Same type of contract, same everything, but your employee cost would be $83.80. Your annual specific premium there on that particular one would be $258,286. Your aggregate rate goes up to $4.96, bringing your fixed cost to $350,965, which would be a reduction in fixed costs of $34,299. And have I lost everybody at this point? No? Yay, good. Okay, so now we're going to move down to your aggregate factors. So aggregate factors are what they use to calculate your claims and what they use to calculate your annual aggregate deductible, which is the deductible for the entire group. On option 1, you're looking at expected claims to be $1,226,823. And option 2, your claims to be approximately $1,326,561. The aggregate insurance that we would be taking out for the group, the $4.05 premium and the $4.96 premium, would give you an annual aggregate deductible on the $75,000 of $1,533,529, and on the $100,000 deductible, an aggregate of $1,658,201. Looking at your TAN columns on the bottom, you would see your maximum costs, which is going to be your fixed cost, plus that threshold that they're giving you that they're going to reimburse you in, so worst case scenario, of $1,935,107 on option 1. And by raising that deductible to the $100,000, $9,167. Your expected costs is what you are expected to pay, of course, your fixed costs and what you're expecting claims to be. And those numbers are $1,628,401 and $1,677,526. Option 3 and 4 come from True Services, Liberty Insurance Underwriters, Inc. And the expected claims are very close in line with everything. However, on option 3, you would see an increase of $12,246 on your stop-loss premium. And on option 4, you would see a reduction of $31,192. Option 5 and option 6 come from MMR Inc., and the underwriter is Gerber Life Insurance Company. Under option 5, you would see an increase of $142,196, and on option 6, you would also see an increase of $87,565. Based on these scenarios, staff is asking that council look at options 1 and 2, and we can start to dissect those two to see what would be the best option for the City of Alice. Both of these options fall in line with what we had already projected for a reduction in our budget. And once we take our budget numbers plus what dependents are going to be paying into the plan as well, for the year, we are expecting $1,672,881 in premiums. We have a very healthy reserve right now, so either option 1 or 2 would be beneficial to the City of Alice. My recommendation would be for option 2, because hard dollar-wise, you would see that savings of $34,299. The City of Alice would then take this information and we would convert it into what we call a fully insured equivalent rate. It would be a 15% reduction to the employer, and there would be no increase to dependent care. And I know that it's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of questions I'm sure are coming, so we can start taking them one at a time.
Okay, Ms. Carrasco, any questions? No. Ms. Garza?
No.
No. Mr. Chris?
I understand the hard dollar savings of, let's say we decide with the recommended option 2.
Yes, sir.
Of $34,299, but correct me if I'm wrong, we are adding potential exposure, correct?
Yes, you are adding some potential exposure, and it's one of the things that I looked at last night. So I pulled all claims information, and anyone who is tracking at 50% of that $75,000 deductible, I looked at their claims history. And we looked at diagnoses, and we determined, is this a one-time occurrence? For example, is it someone having a baby? Or is this something that is chronic and we know that we're going to be incurring for some time? We currently have, we began the year with 3 individuals that prior companies knew, and these companies know as well, have conditions that are chronic. Of those 3, 2 of them, through attrition, have dropped off our policy, so we are having the one that I know for sure come this year is going to go over that limit. So there is that one $25,000 additional exposure for that one claimant. Of the other claimants there are 2 that concern me. It's a little too early to really determine if these are chronic or if these are something that will perhaps resolve itself. And the reason I say it's too early is because one of the diagnoses just came in mid-June, and they are in the beginning stages of going through those processes, but they've already incurred in excess of $37,500 in claims. And the second one is not necessarily a medical claim, it's an RX claim, meaning that they're given a medication that is pretty expensive, and until they continue with their treatments, we're unsure whether that particular prescription is going to work for them or not. So there is a possibility, 1 for sure, and 2 additionals. The reserve balance right now is very, very healthy. And then Vanessa, do you have the number?
It was $1,535,000.
So that's what we have in reserves currently. So the monies are there in the event that that happens. And that's why I'm saying either option 1 or option 2. It just depends which way do you want to look at it. Do you want to save for sure hard dollar wise and run that little extra risk of possibly $50,000 more in exposure? Or do we incur a little bit more on the front end and have a reimbursement and, you know, possibly save that $50,000 exposure?
Okay. Yeah, because I got what you got, about 57-ish,
57-ish,
which is
yeah.
basically just 2 claims. So if a third claim comes up, we're.
Right. If a third claim comes up, that's right. We would be responsible for anything of $100,000 individually. As a whole, though, when you look at B, there's very little movement between the 1,658,201 and the 1,533,529.
Right.
And let me see, did I do the math here? In the end, when I worked all the numbers out and I took everything in, it's really a difference of about $1,400. But again, that's assuming that there's only those two. And like with anything, you really don't know.
Any other questions, Mr. Chris?
No, I'm good.
Ms. Moran?
And again, a couple of questions. What is your level, have you worked with this company that, recommendation option 2? Is this the same company?
No, ma'am. This would be Summit Re. So our TPA, our third-party administrator, is remaining the same. And when bidders were asked to submit their stop loss, they were asked to make sure that they would work with the third-party administrator, and all of these individuals have confirmed that they would. Summit Re is a company that has submitted to us in the past, and we have used them. However, the underwriter, Companion Life, is an underwriter that we have not received any underwriting from before.
And you all are comfortable with what you've heard and talked to with
They are all
representatives or agents?
well, we wouldn't really be speaking to a representative or agent. We would be looking at the companies themselves as a whole. They are, Companion Life, of course, is a very large company. Their assets and everything are in line with what we'd want to see. If your concern is whether they would be able to cover, I don't see any risk in choosing one of these.
Just the level of service and in terms
The
of...
level of service that we would be receiving is actually through the third-party administrator, and since that's not changing at this time, it wouldn't have been something I took into account.
Okay.
But on that note, the level of service we are receiving from our third-party administrator is extraordinary. They are receptive to every need. Anytime we have a question, they're right there, literally 24 hours a day. I've called in the middle of the night, and Libby has answered.
So going back to the specific premiums,
Yes, ma'am?
we have 168 employees.
We have 168 that currently have single coverage.
That's the city pays that?
The city is paying for 100% of the employees' premiums. So
Okay.
if you will turn back to this sheet, it was the last sheet in your last packet.
Yeah, we went through that one really fast.
And this is where it kind of gets a little more in depth. So we are setting aside for every employee $500.18 a month. And you'll notice that under employer contribution, ER contribution. Of that, what we do is we subtract out the fixed costs. And part of that fixed cost is going to be the premium that you're seeing there. So for employees, $100.98 would come off of that, in addition to the remaining fixed costs from your TPA, and whatever is left over goes to claims reserves. And that's what we use to pay out claims from. It's one of the reasons we've been able to build up our reserves is because number one, we've been careful to ensure that we've covered as much risk and liability of the city as possible by ensuring we're taking out appropriate stop loss, both individually and aggregately. Number two, any savings that we're seeing if we have a good claims year, and the last couple of years have been pretty good to us in comparison to years before, we're retaining that in our reserves. And the goal from this point forward, and one of the reasons why I'm asking for a consultant, is we want to expand on those benefits. We want to, the monies that have been put aside in trust, and they can only be used for employees for specific types of services. We started offering health screenings, biometric screenings. We offer flu shots now. This year, I'd like to offer pneumonia and tetanus, and expand on those benefits. Last year was the first year that our employees saw a reduction to their coverage. And as we continue to dig through this and find more creative ways to provide to them benefits, we can use those monies and reserves. More importantly, the city is seeing reduction in healthcare costs to the employer as a whole. 5 years ago, the premium that we're paying for employee only to a fully insured company was close to $700 per employee per month.
Well, if I understand this specific premium section, it appears that there is a reduction in the cost to employee in their premiums, is that correct? Is that how I read that?
There would be a reduction to the city.
To the city?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
for employee and spouse, that's a reduction to the employee?
No, ma'am.
No?
And you don't mix the two up. So,
Okay.
the larger sheet in front of you are city costs and city costs only.
Only, okay.
City costs and city costs only.
So what is the difference between the family and family two-tier?
Sometimes, and the reason that's on there is when the bids for when the bids came in with the commissions attached to them, just like in your vision that you saw a 3-tier rate, these particular ones are going to give you a 2-tier rate. So they're going to have one premium for an employee and then a second premium for family. So whether you carry one child or carry your spouse or carry 5 family members, it's going to be a different rate. In the sheet that you're looking at, none of those individuals submitted that particular type of premium, but because we use these from year to year, it's listed on the sheet.
Any other questions, Ms. Moran? No. Okay. So just to clarify, Ms. Lopez, the cost to the city would be your annual fixed cost or specific premium?
It would actually be both, but your line in yellow, your fixed costs take into account your fixed cost to your TPA and the premiums for stop loss. So in totality, the highlight in yellow are your hard dollars, meaning the city would expense those.
So we would add both and get the total at the bottom?
If you take your yellow highlight in yellow, your line in yellow, and you'll notice that it has an A,
Mm-hmm.
and then your first gold column is going to be A plus B. So that's going to be the annual aggregate, which is the point for the entire group, plus your fixed costs. The next one are going to be your expected claims plus your fixed costs. So the bottom line, the 1.6 million on both sides, is really what you would expect to see in the year based on claims and on hard dollars.
So the very last number
Yes, ma'am,
is
the very last number. Mhm.
and that's annually.
Yes, ma'am. That's annually. And again, it would depend on claims coming in and out. But your yellow highlight for sure is what we know we're absolutely going to pay.
And that's a savings of $34,000.
It would
for
be a
options.
savings of $34,299, but like Mr. Chris mentioned, you do have that added exposure. However, we do have enough in reserves that it might be something the council may wish to consider.
So going back to that, so if you look at that last row, it's ultimately not a savings. 'Cause it's $1,620,000 and then $1,677,000,
Well,
right?
again, it's based on hard dollars and soft dollars, so your claims are fluctuating, but your line in yellow for sure is what the city is absolutely going to pay. In other words, if your claims run as expected, that is what you would be looking at for the year. How do I put this? It's hard dollars and soft dollars, kind of.
It may or may not.
It may or may not.
Actual, we're going to pay in yellow.
Right,
And
the
we're
actual.
estimating we could potentially pay.
Correct.
1676.
Yes, sir.
It's an estimated guess.
So yellow is hard dollars.
Yes, ma'am. Yellow or hard
The
dollars.
last one is imaginary.
It's not
Don't
imaginary.
like.
but,
I hate those
it's based
imaginary
on
numbers as
history.
the city
And
does.
this is why every month, we look at our reporting, we look to see, we're constantly checking, we're constantly tracking. We're constantly trying to find ways to close those gaps and maintain a happy balance for the city of Alice and our taxpayers who are helping to
Correct.
make sure that what we are providing is cost-worthy, and at the same time provide a benefit to our employees, which is where your consultants are really going to be able to dig deep down into this data. I mean, I know about this much of it, they're going to know a lot more.
I just looking at that, it's a difference of 57,249. If we go with option 2 in the imaginary world. So if we really hit that, then we wouldn't be saving 34,300.
But we can pull that from
From the reserves.
From the
You
reserves,
pull it from your
which we can do
reserves,
if we do
which
it
you
the other way.
already have a lot
If
of.
we were to reach that
Right.
figure.
Right.
But there we go again, pulling from reserves.
Well, that's the whole
Insurance
intent of this particular reserve account. That's the whole intent of reserves. Reserves are meant to be
Different than-
there to help offset claims, to help offset premiums. In that same scenario, like Mr. Chris mentioned, if we go above that threshold, you have the money set inside in claims to be able to cover those costs.
Right.
Would this give us a savings in the future, if this option, or not? To be able to put something in the reserves?
You would see something to reserves this year because of, not everyone's going to go to see the doctor or have a claim. If we have 1.5 over the course of the last 3 years, if you average that out, that's about what you're seeing going to reserves every year.
But then again, you did say that our premiums, we're gonna take in 100, or we're gonna pay out, or from.
Right,
or
yes,
100
sir. When you take
1.6.
out, yes, when you calculate the number of employees that we have budgeted for at that $500.18, and then I determined, based on these head counts, your 7 spouses, your 34 children, your 5 family members, what they would be contributing from their dependent portion, you're looking at $1,672,881 expected to come in.
So that covers it anyway.
It covers it.
Where is that
In
one,
other words, you're
Diana?
making sure you're fully funded.
Where is that on the chart?
You wouldn't see it on your chart. I
Oh, we
have my
wouldn't see
math,
it.
I
Okay.
have, because it's big, long spreadsheets.
Okay. Council, any other questions? No?
And this is one of those decisions where I'm a little scared to make because you
Mhm.
don't know, and, it's all new to us. But hard dollar wise, that's where you would see your savings.
Right.
And you're saying that the consultant would help us and the employees or help the city?
Well, of course, yes,
with
ma'am.
this?
And we'll,
help
we'll-
you
yes,
in
we'll get to that in
decisions?
just a
Okay.
little bit. But yeah, they would be better able to extrapolate data that I may not be able to see myself. More importantly, they'd be able to give me reassurance that the decisions that we are
That's what
making
I'm
and the
asking.
recommendations that would be coming to council would be in the best interest of all parties involved.
I just want to have that extra layer of,
Your consultant is
Assurance.
yes, ma'am. Your consultant is actually an extension of your human resources department. They would interact with staff on a daily basis. They would interact with employees whenever there would be issues or concerns or questions. Make sure that we're in compliance. Ensure that we're dotting all our i's and crossing all our t's.
and
Okay.
when you say data, what are we talking about that they would be able to help you with or extrapolate that data? Are we talking about
your-
medical history data? or-
Everything from claims data to
Is this an
trends.
added cost to the city,
What's that?
the consultant?
Yes, ma'am, and that's a
So-
separate
That's a
RFP,
separate-
and we'll
So
get
that's
to
something
that
totally
one in
different in
just a little
addition
bit,
to
yeah.
this.
I just want to know that when we get to that.
Yes, ma'am.
This would be something that they would help us with.
Actually, the RFP is designed so that next year, this would be the consultant's job, to sit here and ensure that the information that we pull is verified by them in conjunction with me.
And the decision would make it a little easier for us
Any
to have that
recommendation, yes, ma'am.
assurance or comfort that we're making a choice that's.
Are we going to talk about that expense when we get to
Yes,
consultant?
ma'am, as soon as we're done with this, we'll be moving on to that next agenda item.
Okay. Council, if y'all are ready to. Go ahead, Ms. Carrasco.
Diana, when you said you went back and looked at our claims and, how far back did you go?
I have, for the year, I went back to
Just-
October. And what I do is every year I'm tracking, because every October is the start of a new plan year, and it's the start of a new specific deductible. So from October, every month, I'm pulling stop-loss information. Anyone who is tracking toward that 50% mark, which is anything in excess of $37,500, medical and pharmacy is who I'm keeping eyes on. And not only myself, but our third-party administrator as well. One of their jobs and things that we do on our end is we're determining, do we need to get these individuals into case management? Do we need to determine, for example, if this is a cancer claim, and we know that, it's going to be something that is long-term, that we get them into case management so they have someone who's tracking their claims, tracking their doctor's visits, making sure that they're being compliant and doing everything that we need to try and keep the employee as informed as possible, because it's a very big process to maneuver through, but also help maintain cost and exposure to the city of Alice.
Any other questions, council? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. If we're ready.
Mayor, I make a motion to allow the city manager to enter into contracts for medical and prescription under option 2 as presented.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 1 nay. The ayes have it. Option 2.
Okay. So the last proposal that I have for you all is going to be the consultant. And if you bear with me one moment, let me clear all this off.
Thank you.
Okay, what I passed out to you is the analysis that myself and Bea and Pat composed over the last couple of weeks on the bids we received for consultant. The City of Alice had a consultant last year, and I think we've reached that point in our juncture with this platform that a consultant would certainly be a benefit to not only the city, but to the employees as well. We sent out several requests, and we received back 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th one that is not listed on here. The reason the 5th one is not listed on here is because they were a little outside the required forms, and it was difficult for me to ascertain exactly what it was that they were going to be charging us, more specifically what services they would be providing. The 4 that are in front of you are Carlisle Insurance Agency. They're from the Alice area. McGriff, Sybils, and Williams, who has offices in San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and Austin. Oscar Campos Insurance Agency, who has a local office. And Walker & Associates, who's out of Corpus Christi. The criteria that we used is listed out to the left-hand side. For 20 points, it's a maximum of 100 points on a scale of 0 to 100. The depths and qualifications of staff and the amount of staff and resources committed to the City of Alice would be awarded up to a maximum of 20 points. The next thing that we looked at was experience in governments, especially municipalities. And we determined this by their client list and looking at their proposals. And the maximum there was 5 points. Rates, fees, and expenses was the more major portion of the bid, and it was a maximum of 25 points. We looked very carefully at the services that were offered. In an RFP, we asked for claims reporting, we asked for benefit review and design, we asked for stop-loss management, we asked for compliance overview, assistance during open enrollment, renewal negotiations, transition and implementation of plans, and of course, cost analysis of our plans. And that represents 15 points. The availability of sufficient resources to devote to the City of Alice was important to us as well, for a total of 15 points. Additional services that they included in their RFPs that were not asked for originally, such as employer portals, online access to reporting, and any additional general HR information that they could provide, for 5 points. Geographical location of offices to the City of Alice was another criteria, and the style and professionalism of the presentation in the proposal, for a maximum of 10 points. We rated each individual one according to the criteria, and you will notice that we have them listed, McGriff, Seibels, and Williams with a total of 86, Carlisle with a total of 85, Walker and Associates for a total of 79, and Oscar Campos for a total of 68. The costs are on the bottom, and while the costs were a big portion of it, some of the other services are outweighing the cost itself. How do I start? Having a local person is something that's important to the city, especially to our employees. It's nice to have someone that they can easily just pick up the phone or walk over to their office for, or more importantly, have them walk over to ours. Cost was another factor. The two entities that are scored at the top are larger entities who have been in business for very long periods of time. We have not had an opportunity to do best and final offers, but seeing the difference in price, it may be something that we as a council may wish to, or you as a council may wish to consider. Any one of these individuals would do a very good job. It's difficult to look at a binder and determine based on the contents of a binder whether they will provide what we are needing. But by the same token, the time and effort that they put into their presentation speaks volumes of the group themselves. I know we have two of them present in the audience, and I don't know if council would entertain the notion of having them come to the podium and introduce themselves if you all so wished.
Would you all, council?
They made the effort to be here, and I think it's only fair for us to hear from them.
Carlisle and Mr. Campos. So either.
Okay.
Well, good morning or afternoon. My name's Zach. I'm with Carlisle Insurance. First, you guys have a rock star. The job that she's done, I was blown away. So you gotta be careful. An insurance company's gonna try and hire her. But we're a local company here in Alice. Myself, I do office in Corpus Christi. Our entire team that we could have devoted to you guys is going to be around 8 or 7 people. That will include, monthly meetings. The real high point right now with open enrollment is really we'll step in with your staff. We will help with both education, enrollment material. That's a big piece of our process because yes, you look at the behind-the-scene numbers, but the big portion is, do the employees understand their insurance and do they appreciate it? That's a lot of the value that we'll bring to the table in our enrollment meetings and our communication material that we'll have. We are very experienced with public entities. We're the consultant for a neighboring city, Kingsville. Personally work with the city of Port Aransas. And then we do a lot of consulting contracts in the valley of 2,000, 3,000 plus employers. So in addition to the analysis that Ms. Lopez put on for you guys today, we do the same analysis. We'll assist you guys with looking even at network discounts, network utilization. We really analyze the previous claims of the past year, identify any issues, particularly on the pharmacy side is where we catch a lot of these issues. So I think between that, she's done a great job. It looks like you guys are going to have a favorable renewal. But any questions for us? I know it's kind of a 1,000-foot quick example.
Council, any questions? Ms. Carrasco? No. Ms. Garza?
No.
Mr. Crisp?
You said you're working with Kingsville and, was it Port A?
City of Port Aransas, yes, sir.
City of-
Yeah, Kingsville is around your size. City of Port Aransas is a little smaller, about 120 employees, but they grow in the summer. We get to 130, and then we're back down to 120, usually around. I'm not sure if you got a chance to check references, but we're very confident on those, and would encourage you guys to reach out. I know it's very networked and intertwined, so you possibly know people over there as well. But we've worked with City of Kingsville for 15 years. City of Port Aransas has been a third year now, but have probably been one of the largest impacts of us getting involved with them and helping them.
Ms. Moran?
On the services offered, Ms. Diana?
Yes, ma'am.
And the points awarded, is this something that they submitted as well in their proposals?
Yes, ma'am. The criteria that you're looking at is criteria that was in the RFP, and then based on what was in their submissions is what we looked at.
And when you were rating for sufficient resources to devote to the city, what was your thought on that? Or are we talking about a team of personnel, or
Yes,
what
ma'am.
type of resources?
Actually,
identified?
several criteria. Number one, the amount of individuals. Number two, how close they were to us. Number three, some of them had dossiers in their benefit booklets listing out education, listing out certifications, listing out additional specialized knowledge that they had. All those things were taken into consideration when awarding those types of points.
Is there something you would like to tell us about some of the things she just?
Absolutely.
that-
We're, she made a great point about the commissions or the consulting fee. Our proposal is we do recommend a consulting fee because it's completely transparent. As you saw, when you start loading commissions, enrollment changes, premiums changes, so do commissions levels. So with that consulting fee, it's a year-round service. We will partner with Diana right now in really the heat of things, if you will, with open enrollment. We will be out here with our numerous staff, create enrollment material. We have presentations. We really interact with employees on a one-to-one basis because, again, you understand health insurance isn't always common knowledge, so we really educate them on how to use the insurance. Since you are self-funded, there needs to be good stewards of the health dollars too, because that's your claims fund. So we educate them on the differences of healthcare and how to get quality but affordable healthcare because it isn't always common knowledge. And then the year-round process will be the analysis of claims on a monthly basis. We look at that. We try and determine trends, anything that we see that's either out of line or perhaps something that we can prevent and implement programs. There's a handful of programs, especially in the self-funded world, that you can implement guardrails, if you will, to help contain costs. We do offer online enrollment. Every client's different. Some people prefer paper, but we would have the capability for employees to do online enrollment. It makes our job, Ms. Lopez's job, much easier when you can do that, and it gives the employees the flexibility when they're at home, they need to talk to their wife or their husband or whoever else is on the plan. It's accessible for them. So we do offer that. We offer HR consulting as well. We have a resource that will be available to your staff, and it's more of a client-facing resource, if you will. It includes an HR hotline that you can call in at any time. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But you can call in with questions all the way from FMLA to terminations and so forth. And you will speak with a certified HR consultant that will help you consult and then follow up in writing of where they found that. It does include training. We have a handful of oil and gas companies that safety is a big issue, and so there is training available to the employees, both employee trainings and staff training as well. Things such as HIPAA certifications, safety courses for the employees, and so forth. In addition to that, we will be out here for monthly enrollment meetings, whatever the city deems necessary. So we are available to do that as well. We help with all documents. There's certain plan documents that you have to create. We do have resources to complete all those for you guys at no additional cost. And it really just, that's more of a reflection of our agency. We've been in business over 90 years and have grown substantially, but still remain locally owned and operated. There's no price tag on Carlisle. The company will never sell. In fact, you call after hours, you'll get our CEO's cell phone number. So we are larger, but we're still local, and customer service is at the forefront of really what we do.
The online access to reporting, is that for the city or is that for employees?
It would be, is it
How
the
does-
reporting for the 1094s,
I don't
1095s?
know. Ms. Diane, you have there under
Or is
additional
it for the-
services?
Oh,
online?
it would be for the employer portals, it would be for the employer, for the city of Alice.
On the online enrollment and the safety and the training, do you offer that in Spanish to?
We can do Spanish, yes, ma'am. The training, let me double check. It should be. I do know the enrollment, though, will be training. The training I was talking about, the safety courses, that is a separate component. The online enrollment is a program we use called eCentral.
But you don't offer that one in Spanish or in a
They
video?
are,
or-
the enrollment will be in Spanish.
Translation.
Yes, ma'am. We can do it in Spanish as well.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the online enrollment, is it user-friendly? Does it have prompts that explain what?
Yes, it's very user-friendly. We actually went through a 3-month RFP process ourselves to really vet, because there's quite a lot of programs out there. Our reason for using this is just that, user-friendly. You're going to have a population of all different ages and different levels of comfort with a computer, but that was one of the driving factors behind our decision to use it. It is bilingual, so we can put it in Spanish or whatever language we want, and it helps eliminate errors on enrollment because it is online and I know Diana knows that you're always going to be something's going to be misspelled or Social Security is going to be left off. With online enrollment, it just streamlines that process and it eliminates a lot of errors and gives us the opportunity to just keep a real-time ticker on the enrollment process.
Thank you. Diana?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a question on the rate, fees, and expenses.
Mhm.
25 maximum point. Can you explain that? Like, what is that?
What I did is I looked at the cost on the bottom, because cost was important. The lowest proposal got the most points, and the highest proposal got the least points. And in totality, overall, the scores on the bottom is where they fall.
Go ahead.
I said, in my eyes, by the same token, when you look at some of these bids, they're actually so close when you
Yes, sir.
when you evaluate over the grand scheme of a year. The idea of giving 10, 15, 20, 25 really kind of is a detriment to some of these other bidding entities, because if you take it away, it shifts a lot when you think of the fact that it's only three of the top three are really separated by only $2,500. But when you go in and now you're separating them by 5 and 10 points, it kind of hits hard. So I kind of looked at things a little bit different when I went
I
through it.
ran them 4 different ways, and even if I were to move points one way or the other, it wasn't really changing the rankings.
Okay.
Your 1, 2, and 3 are very close, and like you said, there's $2,500 pretty much separating
The three highest
your
bids, right?
your 3 highest bids.
Any other questions, council? for Mr.?
Well, I think
And then we
wanna-
have Mr.
No, we
Campos.
haven't.
We have Mr. Campos in the
Thank you,
audience as
Campos.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
First of all, I'd like to thank the city of Alice for allowing our agency the opportunity to bid on being the consultant here and the agency and to help out on the enrollments. As I hate to be repetitive because, you know, this gentleman back here, which I know both of them pretty well, they're a good company, period. We too offer service. I've been involved with the city before in enrollments. I know quite a few of the employees here, so I'm already familiar with that, the enrollment, helping out the, and speaking with Deanna, some of the things that she kind of wanted to do, basically, I told her that we would do quarterly meetings out here with all the employees to see if they have any problems with any of their claims or processing them or anything. And then going forward and dealing with the carrier that's responsible for paying that claim. So we would do that also. Also, another concern with Ms. Lopez was that handling the COBRA situation for the city. One of the most important things for either company, whichever company you choose, is that we're going to take the responsibility away from y'all, because if any employee here does not have a license and y'all start answering insurance questions, y'all are putting the city some type of liability if it doesn't go out correctly the way that employee answered the question. So we do offer online services. We do provide meeting with the, as I said, with the employees every quarter, and if you would like it in a shorter period of time, every 2 months, fine. Consultant services, we also will deal with the providers, pharmaceutical companies, making sure that you all have the correct rates and the contracts in place. Make sure you all have providers that want to deal with the city also. I'll entertain any questions that you all might have at this moment.
You said you have online services as well?
Yes.
Diana, is there a reason why there's a zero?
I
on
didn't
that?
see it in their bid specifications. This is
I did not put that into the system.
Okay.
it's the
So,
reason why it's
so
not
what kind of online services do y'all provide?
Well, enrollment on all the products, whichever the case may be. The companies that you all selected this morning, because we're in the afternoon already, we would be able to help in that also, on doing the online service.
Okay. Ms. Moran, any questions?
Can you give us a little history about who you service currently and?
Right now, we are servicing the school district here, Alice ISD. We're also helping with the county on some supplementary products there. The city of Fremont, we also have, and some local entities here in town, so.
And how long have you been in business here?
I've been here in Alice for 23 years. I've had an office here.
3 years. So you have a local office
Yes,
here?
ma'am, sure do.
Okay, and so what staffing
It's right here at the
level?
Encinitas building.
Okay, and
Yes.
staffing level there?
Yes.
Resources?
That's my office manager back here, Eliana Trevino. And again, we would, if you all would entertain having online or meeting in person, we could do that, both of them. Some employees prefer meeting face-to-face. So it's up to, I guess, you all or Deanna, how she wanted to handle. I know it's got to be done here rather quickly.
Ms. Moran, any questions?
Did you, I'm not sure if I heard, have you serviced the city of Alice in the past?
Yes, I have. I was dealt with enrollments and everything. I was involved with another broker that was here, and then we parted ways.
Any other questions, Ms. Moran?
No.
Mr. Crisp?
The totality of your staff, how many people do you have working for you right now?
Well, I have my office manager, 2 part-times, and then a consultant and myself. But we've, like the school district has got an employee staff of over 900 people, so we were able to do that.
That's it.
That's it. Ms. Garza, any questions? Ms. Carrasco?
Thank you all very much again. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, sir. Thank you. And do we have anybody else?
No, McGriff, Sybils, and Williams are out of Dallas. Their closest office is in San Antonio. The reason they scored very high is because they deal almost exclusively with municipalities, which is why their scoring criteria is up there. And Walker and Associates is out of Corpus Christi, which is close.
Okay, so Diana, I have a question for you. How have we been doing this? Just,
How have we been doing it? It's the reason why I'm here 16 hours a day.
so you've been doing it,
Yes, ma'am.
HR department?
I've been doing it. HR has been doing it. When the agents were removed, everything from the implementation, the censuses, the inputting into the online systems, any claim issue, looking at the data, extrapolating the data, graphing the data, all of that has fallen on the shoulders of HR at this point.
Okay.
And that's
And
just
to-
for the last year.
Just for the last year. And to reiterate on what Mr. Campos said, the danger, neither myself or Bea are licensed by TDI. So we have to be extremely, extremely cautious in what we convey to our employees.
Correct.
The enrollment meetings last year, when we had open enrollments, of course, the servicing partners were here, so they did convey those benefits to the employees.
So before, okay, so this was for the last year. I'm just trying to get a handle on, because we just have been doing budget and cutting, and now I feel like we're going in a different direction and adding. So this was
Important to
just for
note
the
that
last year?
The monies that this would be coming from are from the trust fund, so it's monies that's already, it's not something that the city would have to come up with. It would be coming from your reserves.
From reserves.
Yes, ma'am. From your Employee Benefit Trust Fund reserve.
And what is that total right now?
A little over 1.5?
That was that same reserves that we talked about
Yes, ma'am.
earlier, dipping into for something else that we needed to also? Same one?
Yes, it would be the reserves that you would use for anything health-related.
Okay. Just trying to learn from our previous mistakes in the past. So we've only done this for a year, HR, but before then, we had a consultant?
Before that, the third-party administrator who was handling the account, we were paying fees to them and paying fees to a broker. And again, going back to those commission line fees or broker line fees, you would be paying a lot more in comparison to the dollar amounts you're seeing in front of you. The proposals that were submitted on the stop loss did include commission.
Did
And on the
not.
no, they did submit them with commission, but I didn't show them to y'all with commission. The reason for that was, on the stop loss alone, on the option you chose, just your stop loss insurance, it was a 15% commission on that rate, and the commission would be $51,641 on your stop loss alone. You would still have to add commissions for your dental, your life, and for your vision. So you either pay commissions to an agent, or you pay a flat rate to your consultant. And like Mr. Gingrich said, it's a lot more transparent, and you're probably getting a lot more services for the dollar amount that you are expensing.
Correct. So when you say commissions, so it would be on a one-to-one, I mean, like, say we have a situation occur, then we would pay commission on that one situation?
No, ma'am, you pay commission on the entire premium that you pay out
Okay.
for the year.
Okay. And that's 15%, you said?
15% for your medical. Standard commission for your dental. The life currently does not have commission included in it, so you would have to add to that, which would be an increase to your city. They'd have to populate in your commission rates. And the vision did have, I think it was $1,800 for the year.
One of them was 3,000.
Yeah, the dental, I believe, was 3,000 something.
Okay.
And that's why the agenda item reads the way it does. It's either award a consultant, or you're going to have to list an agent for each one of these individual products and pay commissions to those individuals.
So again, this would be the first year that we would.
This
should
would be, no, ma'am, we had a consultant prior year. He was hired by the council without a bid process. They brought him on board.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. He was hired how, or what?
He was hired outside the RFP process. Another council hired him mid-year.
Okay.
How do I put this?
Was he let go or what?
Yes, ma'am. The contract was
Terminated?
was terminated
Early or after completion?
after completion.
And was it based because of cost or?
No, ma'am. The cost was pretty much in line of what you're seeing here. It was the service.
The service, okay. And again, we didn't go out for RFPs on that.
On that particular one, it was underneath the city manager signing authority. So council, it was brought to council, and council agreed to allow him to enter into that.
I guess what I'm getting at is, what does it cost our employees having to do this and, you know, in added time? I mean, is it a cost savings to us if we were to go with a consultant rather than
When you
having
say
staff?
employees, are you talking about like
The
staff?
staffing,
Oh, yes,
Can you
ma'am.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am.
We can do the comparison.
So on average, for example, we have enrollments beginning here on Wednesday. You'll have 240 or so people go through there. Last year, in creation of your enrollment form, the enrollment themselves, coming back, scrubbing that application, and then each carrier has a system that they use. So it meant entering names, dates of birth, dependents, social securities, addresses, information into each one of those 5 independent systems. Having the carrier upload that, generate the first bill, comparing that bill against the level of coverage that they chose, reconciling those and determining, well, should this have been employee family and you gave me employee children? Then there's the step of inputting all that just into our system on its own, which is a process in itself. It took about 3 months for us to get through that and get it all cleaned up and ready to go. Some of the difficulties that we have faced is because we don't have an agent. When a claim comes in, like here recently we had an issue with Humana Dental, they wouldn't talk to me. Well, who's your agent? Well, there is no agent. We are the employer. We're the ones who hold the account. It took about 3 phone calls to finally get to someone where I could speak to them about the claim. We're very lucky in the sense that with the transition of TPAs, we have seen an exceptional level of customer service when it comes to the medical and the RX. But the vision, you know, I lost my card, I need my card. Okay, well, now we have to stop, log in, find the card, get the card printed, get it to the employee. These are all, and B's here, but on an average daily basis, we probably see anywhere from 4 on the low end to maybe 10 or 15 on the high end.
And this would be something that the consultants would help take over with?
Yes, ma'am. They would help alleviate some of those
Because
issues.
we're currently doing it with a level of service of two staff members?
2 staff members.
About 1.5.
Well,
One and a half.
One and whenever she has time.
Yeah.
And I do make the time, just to make that clear. I mean,
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm
it
saying
doesn't
it's
fall
not like-
through.
With everything
You're-
else that we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
on your plate.
And it was a
Yeah,
very.
exactly. That's what I mean.
It was a very large, I didn't mean that to, but I didn't want the public to say, well, what is she doing? Well, no, that's why
No,
I'm
we
here.
know
No.
what
Sorry.
It was a very large undertaking that we took head on, and it was a first for the city of Alice for them to remove the agents. It was a significant cost savings to the city of Alice. But you know, before we were paying agents and a consultant, and what I'm asking here for is strictly a consultant. And you know, try it for a year. If it doesn't work out, then you can always determine what that next best step is. Cities our size, it's not uncommon for them to have a consultant, just because as you're building on your plan and you're building on offering these benefits to the employee, you certainly want someone who can help you think outside the box.
So can you give me the third-party administrator versus a consultant? Tell me.
Third-party administrator is the individual who processes and adjudicates your claims. So I go to the doctor, and I see my doc submits my claim to the third-party administrator. Depending on the network, there's different pricing. We are currently utilizing Christus Spawn Network. So the third-party administrator takes that claim, takes it to H&S Healthcare Strategies, they reprice that claim. Because although the doctor is charging $100 for that visit, depending on your network, Blue Cross may give him $60, Humana may give him $65, Healthcare Highways may give him X dollar in amounts. They reprocess that claim, they adjudicate it, and they pay it out. Once a week, what they do is they send us the funding request for all claims that have come in. We review those and release the funding for claims to be paid. They are currently processing our COBRA. They handle all of our utilization review, our disease management, our case management. They handle the inquiries for pharmacy. We are very lucky that we were able to find them. The level of service that they provide is extraordinary.
So we would still have them in addition to this?
Absolutely, ma'am. Your third-party administrator, what they do is very different than what a consultant provides.
So they're more of the back end when claims start coming in.
Correct, yes,
The
ma'am.
consultant is more the front
Front
end.
end.
Enrollment, the benefits, explaining. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes, they're the administration of it would be your TPA and your consultant, although there is administration to it, it would be more in depth. As we receive the claims data from the third-party administrators, they would look at it. One of the things that we would like for them to do that was in the bid is audits. Can you please pull 5 random claims from the TPA and ensure that they're being repriced correctly and that they are being paid in accordance with our plan? Pharmacy is the larger component of your self-funding. Same thing with the pharmacy. Are we getting our rebates back the way that we're supposed to from our carriers who are offering us rebates?
That's consultant?
Yes, ma'am, the consultant would be doing that.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is, okay, so we have the insurance companies that we chose earlier. So they don't do all of this.
No, ma'am.
So they just,
They provide a service.
Sell you the
They
benefits.
provide a service. It's similar to when you go for your home insurance. You, State Farm, and you go see Mr. X. Well, State Farm's providing the service to you. They are the company, but Mr. X is your agent. Mr. X is the person who's going to do and make sure that you as a client are satisfied with what's there, help you through any claims or any hiccups that come along the way. For us, Mr. X would be the consultant.
since we have no agents.
Correct, since we have no agents.
Got it.
Earlier, yes, sir.
And a huge component that Mrs. Lopez said was, if there's any errors that are done currently on the staff, they're not licensed in those areas. There's no protection, no insurance company, like, we all have errors and
Emissions
emissions
policies.
insurance in place. So if there's a mistake that's made on our recording or an enrollment, it falls back on us, and any financial problem that happened to the city would be our responsibility and our insurance company to bring you all back home. Where currently your staff, it's just, oh my God, they made a mistake. Someone wasn't on enrollment that should have been on enrollment. There's a major medical issue that came up. That would be our challenge to work through, not the city's challenge, and their financial loss, it'd be ours. And that's a big deal on a consultant or as an agent, having that insurance there to protect y'all for those mistakes that might happen. They happen all the time, but a lot of times it's because, say for instance, the employee got online, they enrolled, but they didn't push the submit. So in their mind, they went ahead and they enrolled, but they really didn't, okay? But if it was an error on our link that made that enrollment error, then it would be on us, not on the staff that all of a sudden someone's wife is pregnant and doesn't have coverage. It's on us. And that's a big thing that the consultant takes on by being that consultant. And we have to have a level of coverage to protect you against any loss. And y'all's losses, it's unlimited. Someone has a heart attack and has to be haloed, and they don't have coverage. There's a lot on that. So to give y'all some peace of mind on where that money comes from and why that consultant fee is what it is.
You have a question, Ms. Bird?
I just have one more. Ms. Diana, earlier you
alluded to some additional benefits. Would that fall in with, like health care, health
Oh,
fairs
yes, ma'am,
and
you're
things?
talking
Would this
about.
fall within this?
Yes, your consultant would be able to help us maneuver through those. Yes, we currently do health screenings. We started biometric screenings for our employees last year. They would help with those processes, or we would ask them to assist with those processes. And they probably would be able to actually provide us with additional types of services that we may not be aware of at the time.
So that would fall under this
Yes, ma'am.
services
Mhm.
as well.
Okay, any other questions, council? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion that we allow the city manager to enter into contracts with Carlisle Insurance Agency as the broker for the city of Alice.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second. I'll second.
You
I didn't know,
second.
Cynthia, were you?
Okay. All in favor of going with Carlisle Insurance
Aye.
Agency?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's make sure we've got A, B, and C. Okay, that should conclude item 3.
Okay, very good. Agenda item number 4. Review and discussion of the 2016-2017 fiscal year revised city budget and 2017-2018 fiscal year proposed City of Alice budget. Should we take a short
Take a
recess?
recess, if you wouldn't
Can we
mind.
go ahead and take a 5-minute recess before we move on to agenda item 4? Okay, we'll be back in 5.